I'm here with Davidson men's head basketball coach Matt McKillop. I appreciate the time. I know this is a crazy time. Never any rest when it comes to obviously retention or recruiting. But I do want to ask. This is your first year. Finishing up at the helm. What has you look back at this year? What has been the most I would say exciting part of kind of having your own running your own ship, and also maybe some things that maybe came to a surprise, if any.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, Nathan. And I could always talk Davidson basketball for hours. So there was so much excitement in so many parts of it. I would say the most exciting part was how our team, we had a great start to the year, but I don't think we were playing great basketball. We were shooting the ball well enough to win some of those games, but then we went through some challenging times. We played an incredibly difficult league schedule, especially in the month of January. And it could have been easy for a group of relatively young guys, several new guys with a coach that they're playing for the first time. It could have been easy for them to kind of pack it in or not stick with it, not stick to the process of getting better every day. And we did. Practice was great every day. It was easy to get in the gym with these guys. It was, you could walk out of the gym with your head high, knowing that you had the right people in that gym, in that locker room. And it showed eventually as we got better and better. Our offense improved. Our defense at times looked like it improved, and we were playing our best in February. We won the games that we needed to end up getting a bye, which at some point in the year did not seem like that was going to be the case. But we played with the will to win and a will to improve. And, we ran into a great VCU team who's always challenging to play against in the conference tournament. But I do think that we believe that we could go up to Brooklyn and win that thing because of the people in our locker room. So that's what I'm most excited about from the first year, is that we were able to stick together through tough times. We were able to trust each other. Hopefully there was a level of trust from them and me, and that we were doing the right things. But I believe that the product showed in terms of how we continue to get better.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned it, I obviously was going to discuss it. I mean, you did win 5 of your last 7. How important is that though? And I understand there is going to be a big turnover. There's always turnover, but still to kind of establish that, like you said, work ethic and have that moving into an off season, how important that is.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, it's critically important. And you mentioned that stretch we had. There was a stretch in January where we lost to Richmond at home, and it was a one possession game in the final minute. We lost. Foster Lawyer had a jump shot that would have won the game for us on the road against George Mason. We had VCU. I'm sorry, we had St. Louis on the ropes at home in the final minute to go possession game. VCU, we had a chance to take the lead and tie it. And everybody has those types of scenarios, but in those games, I believed we were playing well enough to win. We weren't catching the breaks we needed. We didn't shoot the ball as efficiently as a lot of Davidson teams in the past shoot the ball. So we were creating the shots that we wanted. We were doing enough, I believe, to win games against really, really tough A-10 opponents. It did not go our way. So the importance that we stuck with it through then, and then got those wins. And like you said, new coach, a lot of new players. It took till January and February for some of the pieces that are kind of a fabric of our program in terms of the drills we do, the way we like to play, the things that need to be habits. It wasn't easy to build those as quickly as we wished. And I think it resulted in some of those struggles we had in late December, early January, or throughout January. But seeing us get better at those things and then doing them well, and then our guys seeing the results of that improvement, I think it's going to bring momentum to what has already been the case for the spring into the summer. And now we've got more guys returning that have been a part of it for a year, when really we only had 4 guys last year that had been a part of the Davidson team the year before, or played a role that they would have been excited about. So it's crazy to think that I believe what has set us apart from my father's tenure here for 30 years was that the environment around our program, everybody uses the word culture, but we've always had guys that have come through for 4 years, and they've learned from the upperclassmen, and they become upperclassmen, and they teach the underclassmen. And we didn't have that last year. So as great as the people we had in our locker room, that culture, our DNA was not quite what it needed to be because of so many new guys. But now I think we're going to return the type of players that are going to really allow that DNA and that culture piece and those habits to be what we're used to seeing with Davidson basketball.
Definitely. And you mentioned obviously culture, and Davidson has become a staple. It is a staple in the A10. Your success, as a program, which you've been a big part of, obviously as a player, an assistant, and now a head coach. moving forward, obviously we could talk at length about the portal. I don't want to do that, but in terms of what your needs are and how you guys will continue to address what is a little bit more turnover than usual, but what you're looking at in terms of additions to continue to, again, build that Matt McKillop type team that you want at Davidson.
Well, I would never want to think of it as a Matt McKillop type team. I would love to think of it as a Davidson type team. And I don't mean that to be critical, but that's really what it is. And I think there's a lot of people that believe we have a brand of basketball and hopefully a brand of character. And that will not change. We graduated some really good shooters, or we lost some really good shooters after that 2022 A10 championship team. And we did a lot of really good things offensively this year, but we were weak in terms of our overall ability to shoot the basketball. So, turnover or not, that is something we've addressed and we're working towards, and we've got things we're doing this spring to hopefully improve. But I think the talent the overall our talent to shoot the ball well will be something that we're always looking to improve upon. I think one thing that we fell short on this year from the defensive side, and we believe it or not, some of our defensive statistics were really strong, but where we fell short the most was our interior defense. And we were last in the nation in blocking shots, and we were on the lower end in defending post ups, whether that were people scoring on us in the post or getting the ball in the post and being playmakers out of the post. And we talked about it throughout the year and trying to find ways to improve and work towards it. And, I would say early to mid-February, we brought up that statistic. We are last in the country in blocking shots. Now, no one in this room is all of a sudden going to become an elite shot blocker by tomorrow. But what that requires is focus, toughness, positioning, alertness, all the things that make you one step ahead defensively. And that will be addressed, one from a talent standpoint, but really from an improvement standpoint. I do believe that we've got all the pieces in place to be a better defensive unit, and especially in the interior. But I've seen the work that our players have put in to become better shooters. I know some of the players we have coming in that can really shoot the basketball. And not to talk too much about personnel, but one luxury we have is that we had two players that sat out since they arrived here in January. One is Angelo Brizzi, who transferred from Villanova. And another is a freshman from New Zealand who, because of the way that their high school calendar lays out, he basically finished high school in November and he was able to enroll in January. His name is Hunter Adam. He's 6'6". He could play multiple positions, but them being here since January, you would have seen them on the bench. You would have not seen them in uniform, but they felt like they were a part of an A10 team. And if you watch them in practice every day, they are not freshmen by any means, or they are not newcomers by any means, because of the body of work that they've already had a chance to put in. So we do have some freshmen coming in that haven't stepped foot on campus yet, and then we've got some newcomers that have stepped foot on campus yet, and that's pretty exciting for us to think about.
No, definitely. And I feel like too, gets lost sometimes. I know not with coaches, but fans, pundits, whatever you want to call it, in terms of just development, where it's kind of this instant gratification. Who are we going to get next? We only have these guys, but the steps that the guys that are in the program can make in an off season, obviously, with great coaching and culture, can be, monumental. Last question, Foster Loyer, I do want to talk, we always look to the next thing, just kind of what he's been for, maybe just you personally, before the team and his year that he had. And again, kind of a great representative of Davidson basketball.
Absolutely. The Davidson puts out a video for fundraising, and Foster Loyer is the first guy on there because he's represented himself and our program the right way since he stepped foot on campus. He was academic all Atlantic 10. He handles himself the right way in every single press conference and is so impressive and such a great example of who everybody should watch. High school kids should watch this kid. College guys should watch Foster Loyer talking a press conference and never have the spotlight be on him and talk about his coaches and his teammates. He made my job so much easier in the sense that he could run his own practice if you needed him to. If we would have shoot around on the road before games, and the TV crew would be there to watch, and they basically that was always the thing that they would mention is, you guys didn't talk as much as Foster did. That's pretty impressive that you have someone who's capable of communicating like that with his teammates. That's what's going to be most difficult to replace, is his presence, his leadership, and his ability to kind of direct his teammates as well as anybody we've been around. But from a personal standpoint, he was always able to help myself and our staff have a pulse of the team throughout a year with young players, throughout a year where we did have some losses. He was always an easy guy to go to. At practice today, how difficult does this need to be from a physicality standpoint? What is the mood of everybody? What will help us get over the next to the next day and to get over this hump that we're maybe facing? I mean, I could probably do a whole podcast on Foster Loyer in terms of what he means to me, to our program. And you don't really want to think of it like this, but the transfer portal is crazy right now. But in the same way, high school recruiting is even crazier now because of what the transfer portal is doing to recruiting in general. And Foster Loyer is the best example of, if you pick a place that's the right fit in terms of the style of play, in terms of the role that you have the ability to play. He comes from Michigan State to Davidson. First game, I think he made 7 threes and had 30 points. And then he continued to have those types of performances throughout the 2 years that he played here. And I'm not going to speak for him, but I've heard him speak to it and say, like, I had a vision for who I could be as a basketball player. And Davidson was the place I believed I could do that after playing at Michigan State for 3 years. And he made the perfect decision. I hope kids can see the maturity of a player like Foster, the intelligence of a player like Foster, and realize that, finding that place with opportunity and the right fit could lead you to be the player that you always have a vision of being.
Absolutely. No, well,
I hate that just sounded like a recruiting pitch in a sense, but it's who we thought. We recruited Foster in high school, and we believe that's who he could be. And then we're going to have our senior banquet, and we're going to give him a big hug. And we're so happy that it worked out for him the way it did. And believe me, there were challenges while he was here, whether it was an injury, whether it was him having a tough stretch of shooting throughout his senior year. But when it came down to it, he ended up at the place that he wanted to be at, and he should have come to. And we were thrilled that we were able to get 2 years with him.
Definitely. Well, and I think, it's genuine. It also is a recruiting pitch, but it's who he is. I mean, he's a great success, like you said. And I think that is a testament to the Davidson program, and I think that's, I'm sure you're seeing this. You have transfers. Everyone points to the bad, but it can also be a great thing. And I think if you have a situation where you can come in and, like you said, be the right fit, you can excel. And, he's a perfect example of that. And you guys helped foster that. No pun intended.
Very true. And I started out, he has represented himself in a way that our school wants to put him on a pedestal. The pedestal is not the right word, but school wants to put him on display for everybody to see who we have here. He was academic, all Atlantic 10, and he was our captain for 2 years after not being with our program for the first 3. So the character piece shines through in those 3 things specifically. And no matter what, that'll always be first and foremost with who we want to have in our program. And he just knocked it out of the park in every way.
Yeah. Well, listen, Coach, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. I know it's busy. We'll be in touch, but good luck this off season, and have a great Easter weekend.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.